Welcome back to Silverstone. In this corner guide, we're going to be looking at Brooklands and Luffield, specifically turns 6 and 7 around this legendary track. So let's look at how to combine these two corners in this video guide. We're going to look at how to brake, how to trail brake specifically deep into each corner. We're going to look at different racing lines you can take here. And last but not least, we're going to compare some common mistakes against what a pro would do around this section. Let's dive into the onboard here. So we're coming down the straight, building up quite a bit of speed all the way to 5th gear, preparing for heavy braking initially, then you're trailing off the brakes, and look out for that curb. Take that curb, widen the track as much as possible, then quite deep into Luffield. You can see the car running wide slightly, but we do that deliberately to then cut back across for a much better exit. And last but not least, use all the exit curb for a better run onto the track's old start-finish straight. Now let's look at that in more detail. So we're just going under the bridge here, approaching Brooklands, and watch the brake pressure on the right hand side. Stopping the video here so you can see quite a lot of peak pressure. We have no ABS switched on as always in our videos, so almost maximizing the car's pressure, but obviously we don't want to lock up the wheels. But you can see as soon as you start turning in, we come off the brakes, but just keeping a little bit of pressure just to keep the weight of the front of the car on the front. What that helps us to do is we actually get to the apex. You can see we're taking all the curb available without cutting the grass. So we're not running all the way to the outside out of Brooklands, as we have the next corner, the right-hand Luffield, in mind. And you can even see it on the track map in the bottom left corner here that is quite a wide, even more than 180 degrees hairpin. Let's continue from here. So we clip the curb first, and then we're taking quite a deep V-line, so carry a lot of speed into the corner. And you can see, stopping the video here, the maximum turning point around the middle of the corner. We're almost in the middle of the corner. What do? That we then cut back, and by doing that, we straighten up the car really nicely for the exit, and look how early we're back at full throttle. And by using the exit curb, obviously, we widen our track and are able to carry even more speed onto the following straight. As always, let's look at some common mistakes that we see around turn 6 and 7 here at Silverstone. Firstly, the mistake we see quite a lot is drivers staying really tight throughout all of Luffield, this right-hand hairpin. Why is that bad? Well, the exit is absolutely critical, right? We have quite a long flat-out passage, the track's old start-finish straight coming after, so you want a really straight exit so that you can actually put your foot down as early as possible. If you stay around the inside curb of Luffield for too long, you actually start scrubbing the front left tire, which starts overheating, and you're just lacking the front end grip to really go flat out as soon as you should. Instead, as you can see from the racing line animation here, we're taking what's called a V-line. So we dive quite deep into the corner, rotate the car in the middle sharply. We lose a bit of speed in the middle, but importantly, we actually straighten up the car so that A, we have more traction on the back, and B, we actually have the grip on the front available so that we can keep and stay flat out as we exit the corner. Another mistake we see a lot of drivers making is missing turn 6's apex. Why is that? A, it's quite late. B, it's a pretty heavy braking zone, which doesn't always seem that way. But in fact, look, we're coming here in 5th gear. We're actually carrying a lot of speed into that corner, so missing your braking point can actually mess up this entire section, because you don't just miss the apex for turn 6, but because of missing that apex, you actually mess up turn 7 as a result. Let's wrap up with the main points for turn 6 and 7, Brooklands and Luffield here around Silverstone. First of all, remember the two corners are extremely interconnected, so you really need to slightly sacrifice the exit out of turn 6, Brooklands, just a tiny bit to carry more speed into Luffield and to get a really good exit out of it as a result. Since you spend a lot of time on these two quite lengthy corners, patience is key. So really be gentle on the throttle and wait till you can actually go flat out of Luffield rather than playing with the throttle as you're in the middle of the corner. Because the corners are so long, trail braking efficiently is absolutely critical. So really practice to come off the brakes gently as you start turning in more and more as you approach the apex of the corner. Last but not least, we mentioned that regarding the racing line, a so-called V-line is absolutely key through Luffield to really carry more speed into it, rotate the car in the middle of it, and then really be able to put your foot down as soon as the car is pointing towards the exit.